What Lonzo thinks is a wide-ranging, free-flowing discussion where I offer my unsolicited views on everything from music, movies, politics, sports, religion, pop culture, you name it. If it's happening, I'm talking about it. And I've got a special guest with me today, Mike Lovedge. How you doing?
Hey, Zoe, doing fine, man.
Hey, did I pronounce the name right?
You did, man, but not so much of a secret, man. I actually have like an alter ego band name, Mike Lovedge. I kind of shortened it so
Okay.
people don't have to like struggle through it. So yeah, man, it's one of those things. I don't have a plain name like Luke Bryan or Thomas Rhett or any of these guys like that. So I was born. My family was originally from Lithuania, so.
Oh, really?
For me
Lithuania.
being a Georgia country boy, I have kind of a crazy last name, so it's been useful having to have a little alternate name there
Oh, absolutely.
for like a stage name.
Okay, so
But
Mike
yeah, man,
Lovedge. Okay.
yeah, yep,
Uh,
yeah, you got it, bro.
Okay, so I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you're probably the first country music star from Lithuania.
Well, let's hope it turns into that. Right now, I can't say that for sure though. I don't know the country scene over there.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
you'll go over there and
but
do a
if it
show.
turns out that way, yeah, I'll proudly say that
Oh, absolutely,
everywhere that I can.
absolutely. And for my listeners out there, Mike is actually a member of 8 Second Ride, which is a country and western group based out of Middle Georgia. Is that correct?
That's right, man. Kind of our stomping grounds where we all went to high school and everything, man.
Oh, so
Yep.
so you all are high school buddies.
Well, we didn't know each other then, but yeah, we're all from the area. It's kind of great. A lot of times bands that tour and do stuff and play a lot really are from a lot of different places. They've met up in Nashville or one of the or Atlanta or one of the hubs or something. But we're actually all from the area, so it's kind of nice knowing a lot of these guys a good long time.
Okay,
So it
awesome.
helps, man. We got like a little sort of a brotherhood. Yep.
Awesome, awesome. And I guess we'll start right there. I guess tell us a little bit about I guess your history. When did you first start playing, and when did you get into country music, and just get into music in general? Just kind of give us an idea of your musical lineage, so to speak.
Yeah, my mom and dad really didn't play instruments or anything like that, or did choir singing and stuff like that. But they did play a lot of music. I mean, I remember growing up listening to stuff like Elvis and a lot of James Brown. They would play some of the older country artists, a wide range of them. I mean, there was the Conway Twitty and all that stuff. I don't listen to a lot of that now, but I grew up with it, and I had a pretty varied background, man. I really enjoyed the Motown stuff growing up. Like I said, I'm still a huge Elvis fan, but and Elvis did some country stuff too. But I guess me personally, listening to country or at least deciding to do that, I went through my heavy metal phase when I was in the high school, with all the '80s hair bands and such, and then went through my grunge phase when I was in college with the Nirvana and the Soundgarden and all that stuff, which I still like all that stuff. But I don't know, it just felt like for me personally, with my type of voice and the stuff that I enjoyed playing, with like for me, but just me with an acoustic sitting around horsing around was the country stuff, and I was really drawn to the fact a lot of times these things sort of they revolve around a story or feelings, not so much I mean, some of the metal stuff was just straight up, party.
Right.
Which I mean, country music has its party songs too, and such. But anyway, to make a long story short, I guess I'm no longer 20 anymore either. So I guess as I've gotten a little older, I've sort of gravitated to not all country songs are mindless twang, redneckery. I mean, there's actually some pretty cool stuff. And I think with the more modern stuff, there is more guitar driven. When I say guitar, I mean the guitars aren't just that little twangy. So although there needs to be a little twang in most country,
Right.
but I mean, there's a little bit more of a rock edge or Americana edge to it now, and really country is the genre is not as defined as it used to be. I mean, there's think the guy's name is Benny Blanco or whatever. This is just straight up sort of a rap country guy, and I really enjoy his stuff. And there's a crossover with pop in many ways. And some of the purists don't like it, but I like it all. I think it's kind of cool. I think it allows people to be able to play a little bit more varied music and maybe a wider audience. But when we play our shows, we do quite a bit of cover music. I mean, like tomorrow we're playing in Savannah, and they want us to play for about 3.5 hours, which we're just doing two sets, splitting it up. But that's a lot of music, and we don't have that much original. Not many big artists even have that much original music. So we definitely have to play cover songs, and our shows will have a pretty wide range of stuff. So I guess maybe about 4 years ago, me and the guy named John Pacino, who's in the band, we just started talking about how we kind of dug the country that was out now. And there's sort of a rock edge to it, but there's also kind of a pop edge to it. And we just started talking to other musicians that we knew in the area who'd been playing a long time, and just to see if they would be interested. And we all kind of just got together and saw how it felt, and then did a couple of local shows, and then we just started booking further and further out and seeing what we could do. And then there's a guy named William Barber in Atlanta. I don't know if you know WB. You might have run into him, but he, at any rate, he's one of the radio disc jockeys up there for one of the big country stations, 94.9 The Bull. And I can't remember where I ran into him, but he said, "Man, you guys, you should try your hand at writing stuff." And so that's what I did, and we ended up sending him a couple songs. He has a thing called Backyard Country up there where they just play a lot of Georgia artists on that radio station. I think it's like every Saturday night. And then people call in and say what they like, and then they'll have, on the kind of like a countdown or whatever, where are you number 5? And this week you move up to number 2 and all that kind of thing. And we had a song that did pretty well there, and he said he just encouraged us to keep writing. So that's what I did. I just kept writing more songs, and I don't know, I probably write a song a week, and
Oh wow.
not all of them are good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's halfway written, or there's ideas that you have, but you just can't flesh it out. And I know there's people in Nashville that I've run into that, I mean, they write stuff every day. It's almost like for some of them it is a job. They just have a really good creative outlet, and they're clever about how they tell a story, or they play on words. But in the end, I like to just do things I can relate to, or I think people would relate to, and write lyrics that aren't real complex, or just it's clear about what's being said, and there's just no big words or anything like that. Not because people can't think deeply. I just think it's simpler and it's more accessible when you do it that way. But anyway, yeah, and then we just added more shows every year and tried to get our music out a little further. This is our third collection of songs. We had 2 EPs, and this is, I guess you can call it an album when it's over 30 minutes. There's 8 songs on it. It's about 32 minutes long. The latest one's called Work Hard, Play Hard, which you did a review of it, and I appreciate that you are taking the time to listen to our music and have us on. And I've always thought of you as a person who's kind of got a diverse. I mean, you'll look into just about everything. You may not always agree with it, but you do look into things and take time and kind of check into stuff. And I like that about you. And I feel like that you're more apt to, at least in my opinion, you're more apt to like give something a try, or at least look into it, even if it may not be something that you normally mess with or listen to.
Oh yes,
So,
absolutely.
again, I appreciate that you've taken the time to have me on here. After listening to your review, I know that you actually did listen to it, and that's cool. It's really neat, and you got what we were trying to do, by the way you analyze the song. So it makes me feel good as a writer that whether people like the song or not, or we're going to listen to it more than once, at least they can kind of they knew what we meant with the song and got it. But anyway, I didn't mean to. I can ramble on like this for a long time.
That's fine.
That's your interview, so you take it back over, man.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. And you bring up an interesting point, and so I just want to kind of build on it. Music as a vocation for as people out here listening and everything. At what point, and just speaking as a musician, at what point did it dawn on you? Hey, this is actually something I can do and actually make money at, and that people other than my friends and family will actually enjoy. And because my assumption is, at some point, every artist who's ever written a song in their life has come to that crossroad where it went from being a hobby to being a vocation. And kind of talk about that a little bit.
Well, for me, I have other vocations that I continue to do that helps to fund it in a way. I think that I have I'm not unique, but I think there's a lot of people that that enjoy doing something and they just keep with it even if it's not making money until the point where they're really have a craft at it. maybe I'm okay at it. I don't know that I'm the best at it. I like to think that because we get asked back to play and we play a lot of places now that when we started this, I wouldn't have ever thought we could ever get to do. But I'm not, we're not on big festival stages all the time, and we don't, they're not putting us up in the Four Seasons or anything like that whenever we go to some of these places. I mean, there's a lot of bands that you'd be surprised kind of how that are on the radio that are pretty big name artists or well known, I would say, that they're not making as much as people think. But the ones like the Jason Aldeans and all those, now those guys they're pretty set, and they're making more money away from the music now than they are with their music. But don't get me wrong, they're still putting out massive selling albums, and of course their tours are just massive. But I guess it's just a slow growth. I mean, you just find that like when you put out a record like we did, I'm not selling 100,000 copies yet, but I'm actually seeing checks coming in, which is kind of nice, more so than when we did the first one. But I don't know that I could make a living at this completely at this stage. I mean, I still do programming a computer, which I can do, through my business. I do that. I can do that on the road. I can do that on an island as long as I got internet. So it helps to pay the bills. And I know that you knew this, but I don't know if anybody that be listening to this would know. But I did dentistry for quite a long time, and I retired towards the end of 2015, I think it was 2016. And I still fill in from time to time if people need, here and there. I don't do a whole lot of that, but yeah, man. I'd like to be able to completely do this and nothing else, but it isn't to that stage for me. Some of the guys in the band, it really does pay most of their bills, though, and so there's sort of an added stress factor there because I'm always trying to make sure we keep, the schedule filled and that we're getting the best paying things. But yeah, you still see a whole different side of stuff from that, where people, they see you having fun and playing the songs and you're having a good time on stage, which it's all real. I mean, we're all having a great time up there, but man, there's just, when we went to the Midwest not too long ago, and that's a long drive, heading all the way out to Nebraska. There's a lot of hours riding on the road and loading in and loading out before and after the show and setting up, and it's just a lot. There's a lot of work, trying to decide what exactly we're going to play and keeping track of everything. Taking care of your gear, and the vehicles and trailering and all the cases. And it's just a lot. And we're not really a huge band. I can only imagine somebody that's on tour like Katie Chesney or someone that got. Well, I mean, of course, he's probably got. You're paying people to do all that, but still, it's a big logistic thing for something like that. But man, I'm still enjoying it. Like I said, I'm not in my 20s anymore, but I don't know when I'll quit or if I'll ever quit. But yeah, I just enjoy it, man. I think that people like you and I just have a love for the arts or a love, for creative type things, and this is one of my outlets, so I enjoy it quite a bit. I do stuff with computers where I'm doing art things and videos and stuff like that as well, which that can kind of bleed into this as well. So it's kind of useful making promos, and I don't know. I just enjoy documenting my life, pictures and things, my family, the stuff I'm doing. So it's just been one of those things where I don't know, it made life kind of an interesting thing being part of a band and doing some of these things and seeing places, going to places maybe I wouldn't have gone to otherwise.
Right.
But as far as making a lot of money at it, man, I'm making money at it, but it's not a lot. That's just I'm being honest, man.
Oh, I
And
certainly understand that. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
in some ways, I'm able to help fund the rest of the band to a point, where if we needed a trailer or if we needed in-ear monitors, if we needed something, I could just go get it. And whereas maybe a lot of bands just have to kind of suck it up or don't quite have that advantage. But yeah, man, I wouldn't do anything else, though. I still like it. Some people play golf and they're really good at it, but maybe they're not on the PGA Tour, but they're maybe they do some tournaments or this and that where they're making money at it and they're enjoying what they do and they're traveling, but they still have to have a real job and they're not going to take on Tiger Woods or anything like that yet. So I
Yeah.
just kind of put us in that sort of same thing here. Maybe maybe people that make short documentary films or things, they have really good stuff and maybe can even make some money on commercials and whatnot, but they haven't quite reached the level where they can make a feature film, that's on the movie theater.
Right. I certainly
But
understand
you
that.
can always keep
Yeah.
striving for it, man, if it's a dream of yours.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that
But
being
that's what I'd say
said,
about that. Yep.
so that being said, so 8 Second Ride. So you guys have been together, as you said, about 4 years, right?
Yeah, a little over 4 years, and yeah, there hasn't been much change. The original drummer that we had actually works at Epcot now. He oversees all the live music there. It's pretty cool. But he went to college to really to do live sound, and we ended up picking him up as a drummer while he was just sort of in hiatus. But we're proud of him. That's what he wanted to do. So he got skipped up pretty quick. So we ended up getting Brian Turner, who lives in town here with us as well, as our latest drummer. But he's been with the band pretty much most of that time. And it's just five of us, man. And we I don't know, we really enjoyed it. We're going to a thing called Jam in the Valley next month in about 2 weeks, and we're playing on a pretty big stage with some pretty big artists. And one of the groups there is called the Brothers Osborne. They've got Grammys and they've several number ones. So we're, and that's just one of several groups. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of feels good to be able to be part of stuff like that. We're not touring with those guys or anything, but there's a bunch of different groups coming in, and we feel like we've made it to a point where it's a bucket list type thing whenever we get to do stuff like that for me. Because when you start out just playing locally in a small pub or something, you never know where it's going to go. And I don't know, who knows where it's going to go now? But that's been all we can do is just keep writing and playing and just taking opportunities when they come along. And I really enjoyed it, and I feel like in some ways I do a lot for the band, but I also feel like even though I sing and write and do some of the important parts of the thing, I feel like I'm maybe not quite as talented as some of the other guys in the band. When you get around other folks and they're really good, I don't know, I just feel honored to be able to share the stage with them. It's one of those things when you got a group of people and they're all doing their part. I don't know, man. There's guys that, I don't know how good the band would be without, so it's really not, it is a full-on group. I do a lot of things for the group, but I don't think the group could be the group without each member being in it. So it's been a pretty fun thing, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So obviously, you started at a certain point. Now, 4 years down the road, and you're playing gigs. And are you starting to see some of the same people? Are you starting to see a following to where I'm assuming at the beginning you're doing gigs and everything, and
Right.
maybe folks are not there just to see you, but now you're starting to see folks who are there to see you, and kind of talk
You
about.
can see where people, especially on social media, where they say they're going, they'll click on they're going, or especially like locally around here, you become one of the go-to bands where places call you instead of you call them. Hey, we want you so-and-so dates or any of these dates open. And then of course, those venues are getting asked to have certain bands back. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. You know, we've only got like 13,000 followers, if you want to put it like that, on Facebook. But I don't know how many bands on our stage even have that many. And really, it's so crazy how things work out. I mean, you can be a guy that doesn't even have a band, but you're a writer, and you can put one song out. And I'm just picking randomly. Keith Urban might hear that song through some avenue, especially if you're, you know, putting your songs into the mix somehow up in Nashville, and he goes, "Hey, I really like this song, I'm gonna cut it." And all of a sudden, you're thrust into where you have a lot of people who know who you are, and then you know you could be getting asked to do all kinds of things where you're almost having to find a band, put it together, you know, quickly. And it seems like that's how things are today. The slow and steady tends to win out for sure. I mean, they say that, well, I'm just picking Nashville over and over again. People that go there are people that are using that that way. It's a 10-year town, they say. You know, it takes a good 10 years for a lot of groups to, or a lot of people to find their footing and get to where they're becoming something they're making a lot of money and part of the machine. But so we're not even halfway to that, you know. But it seems to be more likely people, and I don't know if it's random or luck or, you know, whatever, but it's almost like some event has to go on or something, you know. I mean, somebody might try out for American Idol, let's say, or one of these voice or one of these shows or whatever, and they, you know, they've always been good singers, but they just haven't never had an opportunity to get a nationwide audience. But as soon as you get that, or there's promotion somehow that becomes, you know, where you're in front of a million eyeballs or a million set of ears, I mean, you can become pretty big pretty quick. I don't know what happens with that. I'm still focusing on family. You know, I've got two boys, and like I said, I still have to make real money, the real home. You know, so for me to just throw myself completely into this, and you know, for instance, we haven't moved to Nashville or anything like that. I'm not sure if we're going to do that. So it's, you know, it may be one of these things where something will have to come along, or one song, or somebody will hear us, introduce us into something, and then that's where things will really take off. But I'm okay with this with the pace we're on and with how things are, playing the number of shows we play. Like I said, I've gotten to be able to do a lot more than I thought I would be able to do, starting this out. So, you know, I don't think the band has actually sat down and said, "Here's our goal. If we don't get to this, we're just going to keep pushing and pushing." But it's kind of evolving, because I think we all were just playing to play. You know, now it's become something where we're making some fair money with it, and we're starting to get opportunities that we didn't think we'd get. So I'm just kind of seeing what's going on. There's things all the time. We get emails where, I wouldn't say they're big labels, but there's labels that are looking for groups like us. But I don't know that you just jump in on that without thinking about the future and figuring out, can you really, really be what they need you to be as well. You know, if somebody said, "Hey, you guys are great, we're going on tour, we need you guys to open us for the next 4 months, 3 nights a week for the next 4 months, all over the nation," that would be great. But I don't know that everybody in the band could do that. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it's actually a commitment that I don't think any of us have. We've all been kind of going, "Man, that'd be really cool," but no, I don't think anybody has ever. What if it happens? You know, so. Then I think the point then is like, well, if it happens, how much are we making? You know, and what's, you know, there has to be some things there that just haven't been brought to our attention yet, but we haven't had that opportunity. And then you can look at the economics of it and the logistics of it. But yeah, I'm not sure what your original question was, but I think it's basically we're probably in the middle of whatever the long-term thing is. I mean, and this is where a lot of bands probably break up, or people move on, or they find opportunities and other things. None of us have done that, so I'm just enjoying it while we can. And if it's just me and not talking to the band, at some point I may just end up trying my hand at writing as a solo person, not necessarily trying to be a solo artist, but just continuing to write and be involved in booking bands and being around the entertainment business in some form or fashion. As I get older, because I just like it. It's not even about the money for me. I just enjoy it, and I enjoy the creative stuff and being around people who are creative and art. In with the arts one way or the other. So yeah.
Well,
Go
with
ahead.
that being
Sorry.
said, yeah, with that being said, and I think I mentioned this in my review. You may remember the music business nowadays obviously is nowhere near what it was, say, 10, 15, even 5 years ago. And the industry is so saturated now because now anyone with a computer and an internet connection and some talent can actually put a record out. So, so,
Yeah, true.
so with the
Yeah.
landscape being what it is now, as an artist, I mean, how do you cope with that? It could be I could because I know it's like hyper competitive now to try to, to I guess to create your own little niche when there's just so much content out there, so much opportunity for people to listen to, so much music, and explain how difficult you think your perception it might be to grab listeners when there's just so much out there, and they're just so much for us consumers to have to kind of dig through. And how do you think what's the challenge of the artist to try to stand out and grab those listeners?
Man, it is a challenge, and I try to liken it to where do you go, for instance, to listen to what you want to, to hear what you want to hear, or to hear new music. Like you have to get used to what the platforms are. I mean, if people are, if they're not familiar with Spotify and iTunes and some of these digital platforms, I mean, most people, well, a lot of people, I should say, are doing that. And I mean, I just pay $10 a month or whatever for Spotify, $10 a month for Apple Music, and I pretty much can listen to anything I want as many times as I want and listen to a whole album. But then you go, man, there's so much music on there. Like you said, I mean, our records on there, records are on there. So why would anybody look for us? And so, yeah, the challenge becomes getting those sets of ears to at least give it a try. It all boils down to three things, and I think three or four things to me. And I'm not an expert on how to get these things to work out in your favor, but money helps. I mean, if you have the money to spend, then you can certainly advertise or get promotion. That always works, but that has diminishing returns, and it doesn't guarantee that anybody's going to stick with you. I mean, if you've got a really bad product, everybody can read about it and learn about it and maybe even try it out, but in the end, they're not going to, they're not going to stick with it. So that is helpful, though. I mean, if you've got money, I think the second thing is probably one of the biggest things is relationships and having a line in on people who are actually involved in the process, because you can't beat that. I mean, I figured, and if you destroy some of these relationships, it can really blackball you or cause troubles for you down the line where you really can't get back into that circle. But I'll just pick like Luke Bryan as an example. This is not me knowing him or knowing his circle or whatever, but I mean, there's people that that were friends of him and friends of around him and friends through friends and folks that were in his circle that had talent, and he's paid it forward. And a lot of these guys are they're artists in their own right, and they have these these connections to one another, and they tend to pull each other through and help each other out and introduce each other to the people that are helping them. So these relationships, whether you have a good relationship or bad relationship, can certainly help you or hurt you. And I feel like that some of the most fun things or the most opportune things that I've really enjoyed are things I went, wow, so it's killer that we're involved in this. I just basically got more through relationships than by somebody going, man, this band is killer. And that's not to put our band down. It's just, there's so many good musicians I get around good singers that you're like, man, that person sings way better than what I'm hearing on the radio. They're killer, but they just they're either maybe something they're doing wrong with their relationships, or they just haven't been able to get that voice or that talent in front of the right sets of eyeballs, or the people that can make a move. There are some people, and you've probably seen this too, man. Artists. I mean, we always talk about Prince as one of these people that just incredibly gifted person. Almost to a fault. Their craft and their ability to write and their performance. I mean, he was just everything. He had like all three things. He could play the guitar. Well, he could play anything, just about. And he could sing. He also had a good look about him. And he could write. I mean, the guy was just really gifted. And I think people like that, I don't think it matters so much. They can't be held back. They're just that good. They're just that incredible. I don't feel like anybody in our group is to that level. But there are artists like that you just know they're going to make it. Once somebody's heard them or seen them or been around them, they're just going to go. They're going to just take off. And there's just something about them, that X factor. And so I think that's the other thing. If you have that, man, that really can. I mean, it's not something that anybody can teach either. It's just sort of people just have it. But I don't think a lot of artists start that way or just have that. They just work at it and work at it, and they become better and better. So I just think those three things, working on your craft or having an X factor, something unique, having the money, and then your relationships. And then the fourth thing, I think, is just crazy luck, man. I mean, there's just stuff. Sometimes it just happens. Out of the blue or whatever. You do something at just the right time, or whatever. Or you just change some sort of lyric, and all of a sudden it's just like gold. I don't know, man. I don't have all the answers to all that, but what I'm finding is that we're getting better with time, which is probably because we're just getting more seasoned and we're just getting better at our craft because you work at it, and that the relationships plays a big part in what opportunities are awarded to you in forming new relationships. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that was
Yeah, you did. You did.
Yeah. I don't know how that factors in like other things like film or or people like a weather guy. Like a guy wants to be the big weatherman. I don't know what, but I imagine it's probably similar in just about every job. We're competing with a lot of people, and the fact that I know this person and this person doesn't know them can negate the fact that their band might be slightly better than ours. I don't know if that's fair or not, but
Hey, this is America. It ain't gotta be fair.
Of the world. But
Exactly.
I've had bands that have a great album and the guy looks great and it's not, but maybe their live show just is blah, and there's times where people listen to live recordings and go, well, these songs are okay, but then they go see the band live and go, wow, man, they really put on a great show, and so it just kind of sometimes depends on whether if you're looking for a band to provide a great entertaining live experience versus just sitting around listening to their album. I've had some live performances that really kind of were a letdown from what I wanted to hear or see based on the music that I was listening to on a record. So, and it might have even just been that performance. And then, the other 10 times out of the year, these people are incredible or something, So and that just goes into the dumb luck thing. There might be a record exec or somebody who's a promoter come watch us in Nashville on a night where I've just played 4 nights in a row and my voice is shot.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm getting through the night, but maybe I'm not, record company level voice that night. And, that might have been the one shot that we didn't know anything about it, don't even know the guys there. And you go, they come and go, wow, I heard good things about these groups, but man, not so good tonight. And there could be a million reasons why, but that's just how it's crazy, but that's how it works sometimes, man. Human beings going and performing, we're all human, and you have ups and downs and stuff. But, and then, you got to kind of book your shows that way too. If you can't, at least for me, I can't sing 4 hours a night, 5 hours, 5 nights in a row. I mean, that's just nuts. You're just gonna blow everything out, and you're not gonna be very good for anybody towards the end of that. And that's just not good for you for the long haul either. So, but anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
It's fine. It's totally fine. I appreciate your candor there. Okay, now for the tough question.
All right.
Let's stick our toe into a little bit of controversy here. Everybody's talking
Sure.
about
Okay.
it. Yeah, everybody's talking about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and touch on it myself. Okay,
Sure.
all right. Old Town Road. I know you know about the
Right.
controversy and everything. So as an artist, as a country music artist, can I get your take on this whole controversy and just riff on it?
Well, let me have you because I've heard a million things. So you define for me, and this is not a trick question, and I'm not being coy or anything. What define for me what you think the controversy is? Because I want to make sure that
Okay.
I answer this in as honest a way as I can, based on because what you might think is the controversy may be different from what somebody else might. So I want to hear and this doesn't mean that you think this way. I just want you to define what you think that the controversy is.
Okay.
And this is not a coy or a deceptive question.
Oh no, that's fair.
I really honestly want to know what you've heard or and I know what you're talking about. I know the song and I know the people involved. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. It's totally fair question. The fact that obviously the record is a I guess a hybrid of hip hop and country. So
Right.
when the song got hot, it was removed from the country charts because they said it wasn't country, but then they put it back on. Okay, so I guess so. There's two school of thoughts. Two school of thoughts. You know, it obviously the song has a strong hip hop influence, but at the same time, it has obviously that country influence as well. And the my takeaway from it and the things that I've discussed with other people is that some people may feel that the artist, his name, for people who don't know yet, his name is Lil Nas X, that he's actually taking advantage of. He's not trying to be true to the art. He's taking advantage of country music because it's not really a country song, but the fact that he's talking about what he's talking about, and they kind of morph the music, that they're kind of taking advantage of the genre, and with this novelty song that is obviously going global, and so is me personally.
Well, I could touch on this in a couple
Okay.
different ways. I kind of touched on it earlier where I mentioned to you that country music genre itself,
Mhm.
I don't know that it's a well-defined genre as it used to be. I mean, you have the purists, like I said, who kind of want to sort of sound like the old style, and man, I'm a big fan of Alan Jackson and some of these guys that are still around doing it. And it maybe he at one point was looked upon as maybe too new or whatever. I mean, Garth Brooks, had to go through a whole lot of this and that where they were thinking he was a little too rock and roll. I mean, so folks like Jamie Johnson and there's a bunch of names I could go over here. And you got the artist Pink right now. It's got a song where she's singing a duet. God, I can't think of Chris Stapleton's with her. And I mean, Pink is about as pop as it gets, And he's written so many hits, not just in country music, but Chris Stapleton. But he's got sort of an old school, vibe to him. But the point here I'm trying to get to is I think there's a misunderstanding that, like for instance, I told you, man, I have a pretty wide range of things that I listened to growing up, and I still listen to now. And one of the things I really enjoyed when we were riding to the Midwest in early May was the Get Up, that song by, I think his name is Benny Blanco or Billy Blanco or whatever. I haven't heard his whole album, but I believe he's actually from Georgia too. He might even have a song, but his songs they're country and the lyrics are country, but but it's really more of a hip hop style of releasing the music. So I, I guess it's just crossing over, and I think people think that, like for instance, Georgia Florida Line, a bunch of these guys, they actually use T Pain. You know, there's a crossover here that it seems out of place, but it's actually way more common than you think. I have a pool party at my house, man. We have all kinds of stuff playing. But I think that country and hip hop, believe it or not, for a lot of people that are out, you know, fishing at the lake or playing music while they're parked at the river or they're on the lake, wherever, we got a mix of all that stuff going on. And, you know, we go to a lot of concerts. My wife and I attend a lot of big festivals every year, and you'd be surprised, but like I would say, well over half the time, even though it's a country music festival, there will be hip hop artists who play. I mean, I've seen Snoop Dogg. I've seen they had Shaggy not too long ago. Flo Rida was at this last thing when we played or we went to. It was near Miami, in Fort Lauderdale. It's called Tortuga Festival. It's a 3-day festival. Bunches of bands, bunch of country music bands. It's a country music festival, but they tend to put in like Nelly in there. I mean, so and man, those artists literally, I would say this, and I'm being honest, those guys put on sometimes a way better show than some of the headliners, even though they're not being put on as headliners, even though they're later on in the night. They're not early. They have a big crowd and everybody gets involved. So I don't think for the country music fan that's average, that's like the bunches of us that are out, I don't think a lot of us are like, it's got to be country music like this and throw away that rap crap. We're not like that, man. Now there's some rap music I could personally don't find any redeeming value in it, but I think that is strictly a sort of a cultural upbringing type thing. It just doesn't. But some of the stuff that, like that Old Town Road song, is very catchy. Obviously the lyrics, there's actually a decent mix, but for the most part, he's using iconic imagery. The horse, the carriage. I've been out in the valley, and the boots and all that stuff, riding on the bull. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's imagery, but and then they paired him up with what's his face.
Billy Ray Cyrus.
I don't know if he came to him or him came to who or what or how that all came pairing, but it was pretty. I think it helped both artists quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
That they did that together. Because I think the song was released originally without that.
Right, it was.
And it actually kind of helped sort of smooth over this supposed controversy. What you said actually did happen. I mean, it was in the news. I don't have all that in front of me, but I mean, and the reason it had charted is because country music fans were actually listening to that song. And I'm not exactly sure how that algorithm works or what all, but then you have the purists who were sitting on these thrones, saying, "Hey, that can't be on the country chart." And I don't know. At some point, the genres have to mean something. I mean, you can't just throw, opera in the middle of a rap countdown, even if it's you know what I mean? There has to be some sort of definition.
Right.
But so I don't know. What would you classify the song? Is it country or is it rap? I mean, what you personally, Lonzo says, this song, if I heard it and didn't know it was on a countdown, where would I put it?
Dude, that's 100% hip hop. That's 100% rap song. He's just
right, so
he's talking about he's talking about country.
So
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, he's talking about, it's a rap song, but he's talking about things that are relate to country music. So so in that regard, I mean, he's basically kind of taking advantage of that. And I'm never one to knock a person's hustle. I think the song is great, and I'm glad that it's gotten the recognition that it's gotten. But in my book, that is a pure hip hop song featuring a country artist. To me,
right, and I feel like that's correct. And anybody who is upset for it being on the country thing and then getting removed, and they're upset because it got removed. I think that, well, I mean, I don't know why you're upset about that, but people who are confused why it got there to begin with, it's not confusing to me either, because I think it's, country music fans are not as rigorous about what we listen to as people might think. Not all of us, I should say.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I'm sorry.
There's a site called Saving Country Music.
Well, hold up.
Just write it.
Hold up, hold up. Hold. You gave me a thought. You gave me an idea here. So I wanna before I forget. Okay.
Yeah.
Now there's an upside to this, I think, because I think
Yeah.
this song could draw more people to country music. Okay, so in a way, it's gonna help country music because you're getting more people whose mind that was once closed is now open to listening to country music. So now they may start listening to more artists and getting into the genre. Therefore, it's going to boost sales. It's going to boost the overall image of country music. So in a way, am I off base with this or what?
Yeah, I think it's a perfectly valid argument, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a perfectly valid thing. But and there's a lot of music that does cross over, and there's probably some R&B side of stuff that maybe people, when they hear it's in the country, this is a country song, they're probably just immediately have in their head, this is what something's going to be.
Nope.
Yeah. So there's artists like Jimmy Allen. There actually are some artists who are actually playing traditional country as well, or which they traditional that you would put into the country category as opposed to a hip hop category. And these guys, I mean, it's not. I don't think the mixture of it's not so much as a color thing. I think as much as that song was a rap song. It was a rap style song, or a hip hop song. So I think them taking it out of one category and putting it into another, I don't think was a racially motivated thing or anything like that. The controversy of it, I don't see the controversy of it. But I also don't see any confusion as to why it might have charted. If they're using metrics from country, a typical country person is listening to that, and there's some metric that's putting that into the country chart, then they need to fix their algorithm or how they're picking songs or whatever. I'm not exactly sure how that's done. But, injecting, oh God, I can't think of his name, the Ricky Hart guy into the song, or maybe he took that guy under his wing and they work together through the country channels. But when we were in Nashville, and we'll be back there again in about 4 weeks, playing there, a lot of bands were covering Old Town Road in their sets. Country bands are playing that in their sets. So clearly, maybe it was a drummed up controversy just to get the song to chart. Who knows? I don't know you never know how this stuff comes to become headlines or whatever. But in the long run, I'm a fan of the song. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you though. I don't know another song by that guy. It's not like I've sat and listened to all his Lil Nas X or whatever his name. I've never sat and listened to like any more of his music. The only reason I even know about that song is because it charted country and because it was being played in a lot of the hot lists and things I use on Spotify that are country centered. And like I said, that Benny Blanco or whatever his name is, I wouldn't know about him either unless it was on those lists, and I dig it. It doesn't bother me. It does bother some people in country music, but they also don't like, Dan and Shay. They also probably don't like Thomas Rhett. They didn't like Sam Hunt, who had some more hip-hop-y type stuff going on in his music. They don't like the finger snaps. They don't like the hand claps. They don't like the, all that kind of stuff. And, people kind of enjoy a beat. And I think when you go to watch live music, the live concerts, people want to have some energy and they want to have, something that makes them move. And sometimes I like Alan Jackson's music, but not all of his songs are going to make me get up and have a fun time, at a live venue. So if I go watch him, it's because I want to hear his songs and watch him sing them. It's not, that kind of thing. So I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I don't know. I always wonder why things become headlines. It's just how I'm wired. Why did this become a headline? Why is this all over the news? Because that sometimes there's a real reason for it, and then other times there's some agenda pushing that, and it isn't always a racial agenda. Sometimes it's just people wanting that song to be popular. You know, so people that funded it or whatever or got behind it have made it into something that becomes a headline. And if that was the case, man, it sure worked on this one.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
the song's fun to me, man. I
Yeah,
think
it
it's a
is.
fun song, and you know the way that they recorded the beginning of that with that kind of subdued dulcimer banjo-y sound or whatever. It's just kind of it's got a kind of a cool feel to it. And it's short, quick. You know, a lot of people like to have that quick hit song, and then you know it doesn't drag on for 9 hours. You know, I don't know. I think it's pretty cool, and it brought that guy into the foreground. He's been invited to a lot of things, and he's involved with a lot of stuff with country music that maybe he would never have gotten involved with otherwise. And I can't think of the artist who was working with him.
That's Billy Ray
Billy Ray
Cyrus.
Cyrus,
Yeah, Billy Ray
yeah.
Cyrus.
That
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of in a weird part of his career, but I think that it's kind of brought him back, sort of in a way too. You
Oh
know,
yeah, it
very,
has absolutely
very
has.
synergistic thing for these guys. And you know, even I saw a thing where they were singing. Billy Ray was singing. Maybe it was I can't remember who else was involved. Of course, the artist who sings the song, Lil Nas, and then they had Keith Urban playing a banjo. They all did this kind of group thing somewhere, and I'm sure it was pretty cool. And I'm sure people went ballistic, you know, when they all came out and did it as a group because it was not something that was planned. You know, they all just decided to do it. You know, for the effect, you know, for the moment. But I don't know. I really do hate to see that there's factions and you know and people get all defensive about you know whatever in music because I mean it's just like America can be a melting pot. I think that and we all kind of if we will accept it, we all can kind of grow from it. But you know you don't. I think there has to be some sort of if you're going to have country as a definition though there has to be some sort of meaning behind that particular genre name. I mean, there's a point where if you're sticking opera, like I said, into country, it just doesn't. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe there'll be a point where those two can mix together, but it's just kind of weird. You know, I don't think there's a controversy when people take that and say, hey, that really is actually a hip hop song. You know, I mean, it really is a hip hop song. I mean, there's what we call hip hop, which is it's basically hip hop with super redneck country lyrics done over it. I mean, you got the Lax. There's a bunch of groups out there, and these people are making a lot of money, and there's a lot of people go to their shows that like that style. You know, it's almost like a Limp Bizkit type weird hip hop limp. You know, with got heavy guitars, but there's country lyrics. I mean, it's a super big mixture. But for people that want to be, you know, and they really do good live too, because those types of songs and that type of atmosphere goes over well in a live show. People can really, you know, get hyped up at it. But I don't know. I personally like all the different styles of country. I think it's really cool. I mean, you got people that come in and it's almost a John Mayer type sounding country music. Then you got some that are almost like blues. You got your southern rock type sounding country. Then you got the people that are, I don't want to call them throwback, but they're trying to sound old school, and they do a good job of it, you know. And then there's like Maren Morris, who's almost just crossing over into pop, and then you got the actual crossover where people in pop like BB Rexa and George Floorline were literally crossing over and taking a song and releasing it on both charts. So, you know, Thomas Rhett singing with this person and that person. Man, I don't have a problem with it personally.
Well, neither
I don't
do
know.
I. No.
I don't know if I answered your controversy question, but
Yeah, you
part
did.
of me wonders if that controversy was manufactured, but also if, just like you said, I mean, if somebody said, hey, this is actually a rap song, we should probably put it in that category. I don't know that was anything other than somebody trying to define a song based on its characteristics and putting it in the right category. I mean, that's when it all boils down to it. I don't know if they were trying to hurt that guy or anything. I mean, I guess you can take a song that's doing well in a certain genre or a certain type of people and try to kill it. But why would I don't know why anybody in Nashville would do that if they're making money off of it.
Oh,
I mean,
ton
it
of
all
money.
boils
Yeah.
down to play, streams, and money. If it's making money, you'll find the most redneckish person will, if it's given making the money, they'll suddenly become, hey, I think I can get behind this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you know, and in some ways, I don't think that's. I don't know if you should define what you like based on the dollars it provides for you. I mean, if you actually have a care for your craft or whatever. But I certainly think that there is that faction of the music business or just entertainment that's, if this is the current trend, like that Freddie Mercury movie came out with Queen, and then they're making like every other group's getting a movie made. You know, Elton
Yep.
John, and you know, now I mean, there's just a zillion of these now, and you know, they're not all going to be that good, you know, but I guess they're going to try and throw it out there. This works, so let's do it for these people. And you know, I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm just saying sometimes that's what I really hate seeing is the copycat stuff. The same four chords being used in 20 different songs because it's catchy, you know, or, you know, this particular type of beat over and over and over again. I mean, if I hear another trap hip hop thing, I'm just tired of it, man. You know, I want the next thing to hit so I can be jamming to that. But that's what seems to be happening. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, but that's just me saying it. I'm not the one selling the records or trying to put people in seats and all that. I'm trying to do that for our own stuff.
Yep.
But I feel like that I wrote what I wrote because I wrote it, not because I was following a formula. It may sound formulaic or like every other song to you or the way you reviewed it, and I take that criticism in a good way. I don't. You know, maybe I should strive harder not to. You know, maybe to go ahead and let myself be a little bit more creative, you know, in the future to appeal to people who might be looking for that. But I mean, the lyrics, I didn't sit and say, man, it has to follow this formula and I need to do this, that. I mean, you don't want your songs to drag on 8 minutes or something like that. I mean, there's certain things that you just got to do, otherwise nobody's going to listen to it. But I feel like I just, you know, the chords and things, and they just kind of came to me, and you know, I wasn't listening to anybody else's music or anything like that to try to copy it. You know what I mean? But there's definitely trends in country music, definitely trends in, you know, in hip hop, all this kind of stuff. And I don't know. I mean, if you come out with something that hits both trends and it charts in both, man, God bless you. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it.
Right. I understand.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that because that reminds me of something. And you mentioned Prince earlier, and Prince has a quote that I kind of live by, and the quote is he said that every album should have a great title track. So
Right.
so now whenever I listen to an album, I try to listen. If there's a title track, I listen to the title track first. That's just a habit I got into because that's what Prince says, you know. And Prince is my god when it comes to music. Okay,
Right.
so when I listen to Work Hard, Play Hard. Okay,
Right.
all right. So it was a couple days ago. So first thing in the morning, get in my car. I know I'm gonna listen to it, and I pull it up on Spotify, and I played the title track first. And
Right.
and listeners out there, if you haven't heard the song yet or you haven't heard the album yet, I encourage you to do it. And me personally, I encourage you to listen to Work Hard, Play Hard first because I always listen to the title track first. Anyways, long story short, that song really hits, and that song is, to me, it was a perfect song to listen to at 7:30 in the morning. Okay, because it really got me going. It really got me going. By the time I was out of my driveway, my head was nodding. I was slapping my knee, and I'm having, you know, it just really perked me up. So,
Right.
that being said, let's talk a little bit about Work Hard, Play Hard, the album, and the song.
Sure.
Okay, now first and foremost, obviously I've listened to the album, and when I did listen to it, I listened to it over and over again, at least 5 times in a row. When I got to my office, I put it on repeat and just let it go over and over and over again. Okay, so I think I got a good handle on the album and your music.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Sure.
and once again, for my listeners out there, I encourage you to listen to it any way you want to listen to it. I just encourage you to listen to the title track first because that's just my preference. Not saying you have to, just my
Right.
preference. Anyways,
Right.
that being said, now talk about Work Hard, Play Hard, the song, and also the the concept behind the songs on the record as well into a cohesive work of art.
All right. Well, we are friends on Facebook, uh, whenever we're not sparring about other topics, a lot of times we are commenting on family and stuff that's going on or things that we notice each other doing. And I do post a lot of pictures of things I'm doing all through the year, and I feel like I have a pretty good life. Uh, so I really, but it's not an accident. I mean, I feel like that, from my teenage years, I worked on getting a dental degree, and I've just always tried to have a good work ethic because um, I feel this way about America. I mean, if you're gonna be stuck born somewhere, I think being born in America, you could do a lot worse. Um, and I really feel like that if and it is easier for some people here than others, to do well. I mean, if you were born in a rich family or if you're born in a decent neighborhood, I mean, there's obviously factors, but in the end, the guy that gets off of his butt and goes out and tries to work and really puts effort into it, and, in the long run, you should do better than the next person. I mean, I just feel like especially if you take two equal people and one guy's working harder than the other, you would assume that he would do better. So I mean, I feel like I live a pretty good life. I feel like I've worked hard over the years, and so the song comes from a real place because we do some really fun things as a family, and we do some fun things as a band, and we do some fun things, me and my wife, all through the year, and things that have become regular. I try to attend a lot of the football games. I try to do. We go to the beach pretty regular, and just little things that I put in the song, that particular song. I like to provide nice things for the family, like the cars and the nice purses and whatnot. But I mean, all that stuff's not free, And if I do go to a concert, I'm a little bit of a snob now. If I can get up close, I want to get up close. If I know somebody that can get me backstage, I want to go visit and say hello, even if it's not to necessarily see the artist. I might see other people back there that I've gotten to know. So I think that the concept of the song is basically, if you want to have these things or do these cool things, then you're going to have to go make that dollar. And it talks about starting two shifts in the morning. I mean, sometimes you gotta work a little harder to enjoy the finer things in life, especially when the economy's down or things come along that you weren't planning for, but you still want to try to keep that same standard of living. So for me, some of the lyrics in there are actually taken from just like real stuff, like 50-yard line in October. We're trying to go to to the football games and stuff. Talking about the cruise ship trips and stuff like that. I mean, it's going to Vegas and things like that. VIP, don't come cheap. Stuff like that. I mean, but a lot of people like those things, but maybe that don't necessarily strive to achieve them or do them. So if you want to play hard and enjoy the finer things, then you got to work hard. So that's kind of what the whole thing. And we're just sort of throwing it out there in a way that maybe country music fans would gravitate to those lyrics. And it's a little bit more guitar-driven song than some of the other ones, a little bit more high energy. It's not a ballad, in other words. So I'm glad you dug it. And it's got kind of a cool guitar hook riff to it. We worked on making sure we had a kind of a good guitar riff hook to it. And man, I don't know. It's a simple song. I mean, it's not like a deep song or anything. It's just basically here's all the things I like doing, and I got to get up and go to work and go do it. So yeah, you're striving to maybe go to on a trip or some kind of thing you wanted to buy or whatever. Listen to that song might entice you to think about doing a little extra that day, or maybe volunteering for something, more hours or whatever. But anyway, that was the whole genesis of that song. I mean, a lot of the songs on the album, really, I think a lot of writers are this way. They try to pull from experiences or things maybe they felt. Sometimes if I'm talking about a guy who's missing a girl, and my wife's like, well, who's this about? And I'm like, well, it's not now, or it's not, this doesn't really apply to my life. It's just feelings. And so it's funny, we'll have discussions. She's like, well, this sounds like you're talking about somebody. Well, I mean, the song, it's a song. It's not like I'm writing a love letter to somebody or something like that's real. So I'm just picking at her. But I mean, there's times where you draw from feelings or draw from experiences. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but there's times where I'll put songs together about other couples or other people. I see them going through things, or you talking with a guy or a girl late at night about something they're going through with their family or their person, and you can feel for them and you can empathize, and maybe you draw from that and create a song about it or whatever. The one, there was two people that I knew that were coworkers that were afraid to date one another because they worked together. In fact, one of them was was higher up the chain than the other, and you know how that could be a problem.
Right.
And in fact, I'm not think there may have even been rules at work about them dating or whatever. But so that song, "Why Are We Waiting Around?" or "Waiting Around," is basically, it's loosely based off of that. You just come up with ideas, and even though it's sort of the last song on the album, it's more of just a laid back song, that real love song. Is, if you really listen to the lyrics, it's about people pondering if the person that they're with really feels what you think they feel. It's that you live with somebody and love them and do things with them, and you really don't think about it too much, or try not to. But every now and then we all stop and think, man, is this person really here with me? Are they really tight? Are they? I mean, because I love them. I wonder what they really think whenever they're laying there. Is everything cool? Are we all right now? That those types of feelings crop up. And I think as we get older, we maybe think about things a little more than we used to, about stuff like that. So, but and then the first song I just did, I'm just kind of tired of all the division everywhere, and it was my attempt to just, say, hey man, if you can love whoever you want to love, and if, and that doesn't necessarily have to be like falling in love that way. You can enjoy being around people of all kinds of people, and if you like being around them, and they like being around you, then what's wrong with that? Go do your thing, man. So it's love don't care. I mean, love don't care who you are or what color you are, or if you don't have any money. I mean, people fall in love for different reasons. So I don't know. It's just sort of a. I don't know if I'm going to get rid of division or people who have biased thoughts or whatever. It's just what it is. But for a short 3-minute song, maybe people can just kind of feel good about everybody around them for a little while. But there's a bunch of different songs on there. Sometimes you meet people who seem a little crazy, or maybe you. I'm not saying you have, Zoe, but maybe
Yeah, I have.
Maybe you know people who've dated girls who seem a little crazy, or girls have dated guys who, they just didn't. God, I wonder why they're this way. But maybe they went through something that you don't know about. It's really changed them, and that's how they deal with it. So, beautiful and crazy is it's just sort of a thing that you're attracted to somebody, but they have these flaws. But maybe their flaws are coming from a real experience or a real place that you can't control, and maybe they can't either at this time. It's just how it is. But life is complex, man. It's not always. I mean, you throw the fun songs in there, and I tried to have some of those, and I try to get a little deeper, at least where people think about relationships a little different. Because, like I said, you never know what that other person's been through, or they may be like they are from a real place. And I think from our discussions that really don't have to do with music, I'm having to learn that and I should say learn. It's a little bit more. I take it to heart that people are a product sometimes of where they grew up or what they've had to deal with and experiences and things that I wasn't around. So I've had to learn that the way people see things or feel things is real to them, even though I can't understand why it is that way for them. Because my experience or my reality isn't the same. And yet here we are in the same nation or the same area, and it's just confusing to both of us why two people, politics is that way in some ways. I don't want to get into politics, but people get, they may have went through something or lived a way that you can't quite understand, and that's why they address things or do things the way they do. And the Pieces of Last Night's song, I don't want to get too graphic about it, but I mean, we've all been there, man.
Love that song, man.
Like you said, yeah, because I mean, you go, gosh, we did what? I don't remember doing that, and then well, here you are in the picture. It's hard to deny that was me in the picture. You're right. Or God,
Yeah.
God, where did we end up? Or gosh, I don't even remember the ride home. And but it was a fun night. It wasn't one of those. I guess sometimes people wake up, they did something stupid, and crazy, but or maybe even bad, but this is not that type of song. It's more of the, I had a great time, and gosh, I wish I remembered more because it sounds like it was a blast, that kind of thing. So I met a guy at a festival. His name is Ed Mayo, and he and his wife put on some festivals up in Maine. But this was a festival we went to in Florida, and I got to know him because I'd seen him several times there in one of the VIP areas. We were all just hanging out. And he says, man, I'm not a musician, and I can't sing, I can't write a song. He says, but man, I got a cool idea for a song. And I was like, well, what's that? He goes, well, man, if I tell you, you got to write it. And he basically came up with that kind of that idea, that he says, I really don't know how it's going to go, but it's basically about somebody realizing all the fun things they did, that it's all coming back to them, and he goes, you know what I'm talking about, and I kind of knew what he was talking about. I saw that's sort of my attempt at trying to write that song, and I need to talk with him and let him hear it. I don't know if he even knows that I did that.
Oh, wow.
I don't get to see him, but maybe twice a year or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I wrote that song a while back, and sometimes you get pieces of a song done, and then it might be 3 months later you have a good idea to finish it up or a way to change it to make it even better. So that's kind of how this stuff works. But sometimes you get block where you just, God, I can't come up with an idea, or I don't really have any good songs, and then you'll have a month where you could write 5 or 6 really good ones. So, and I do it whenever those feelings are going on. I take the time to do it because it may not be there. If you're coming up with a script for an idea for a movie or some lines or scripts or, man, if you're getting a good flow going, man, I think you need to sit down and do it while you got the flow going, man. That's the way I look at it, at least.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and obviously,
Yeah.
I'm a writer, so I can
Right.
definitely empathize with that. So
Yeah.
absolutely. So
But that's like a synopsis of the album and the songs. I mean, I didn't get super deep on any of them with you right here, but I don't really have a process. Sometimes I'll have a riff in my head, and then I'll decide what I'm gonna. Man, now I'll just keep that riff, and then maybe an idea for a song will come later, and then I can throw the lyrics over that riff, or I'll just have an idea like Ed Mayo did, have an idea for a song, and then you just got to find a way to express that. And then there always has to be a good chorus, something that people remember, and then it gets in their head. So if you have a good idea, then you got or a clever play on words, then you got to find a way to make that lyrically come out in a way that's pleasing and it sticks in people's heads. And if there is a trend, then a lot of times, at least in Nashville, I don't do it, but in Nashville, they'll take and try to fit that song to the trend, and then push it out while it's hot, while the trend is hot. Because sometimes you can hear how a song was originally written and go, man, this doesn't sound anything like what this artist took it. This artist bought it from that guy who wrote it, and then they changed it into this because of the trend. And man, a lot of hits are created that way. And then a lot of times a good song's ruined that way too. But it is what it is, man.
Yep, absolutely. So,
I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs, and I certainly my view is just my view. Man, if I was really good at this or knew all the answers, I'd be running my own. I'd be Sony Part Two or something, or
I know
have my
that's
own
right.
record company,
Yep.
man, and I'd be just putting out hit after hit. So I mean, no, but there are times where I really hate to see. I know this guy wrote a great song, and artist X bought it from him. And I don't blame him because, hey, man, like just throwing this name out. Kenny Chesney bought my song. And I'm not even saying this was a Kenny Chesney story. I'm just saying,
Hmm.
I can't wait to hear it. And then all of a sudden it gets released and you're like, oh, man, they butchered it. They cut it up and they did this. And it's not even anywhere, and you're like, wow, you hate to see that type of situation. But then there's times where I'm like, man, this will never be a hit. When you first hear it, you go, oh, this will be off the radio in 2 weeks. And all of a sudden it's on and making millions, and you're like, wow, I guess I don't know what I'm talking about at all. So, and you just got to accept sometimes, your flavor ain't what, maybe there's other people that really like that. It just isn't what you like. And it is, that's the truth. It could be not just in music, but movies and everything else.
Yep,
So,
you're definitely right. You're definitely right on that accord. And
yeah.
and so on that note,
Yep.
8 Second Ride, work hard, play hard. The album's out now, so if
Yep.
you're out there listening, you can find it. I'm sure pretty much every platform. Like I said, Spotify, Apple Music. I'm sure Amazon. Um,
Yeah, man.
so
It's even on YouTube, and you can listen to it for free there.
oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, you
Maybe,
can.
yeah, you can actually just like stream the whole record off on YouTube. I didn't even know that was something until somebody said, "Hey, I found it here," and I was like, "Really?"
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
even care. I mean, if it's free. I mean, obviously, I like to get money for our stuff, our efforts. I mean, at the very least, pay for we pay to record these records and pay people to do the work for us to distribute it and everything else. So I mean, but I more than anything, you just want people to hear it. You want to have as many people try to listen to it or what all. And if there's anybody that you have in your circle that's hearing this right now and doesn't hate country music and wants to give something a chance, go listen to it, man.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but what Lonzo thinks is pretty big in the UK. So to all my UK listeners out there, give them a listen.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah. For some reason, man, the folks in the UK like me. I don't know what it is. So it's kind of scary, actually. I'm scared myself.
Well, man, you need to work hard and then get you some money together and then go play hard over there in the UK for a weekend, man, and go visit some of those folks.
I don't know. I don't know. I might not come back.
Yeah, I know some folks from Australia through some of these things that we've been doing, and I really would love to go visit over there. And I'm thinking next year, my son, my oldest, is about to graduate from high school, and we may end up going to Australia, kind of as a graduation thing. But I'm going to see if I can find some of those people.
No, that'd be
But
cool.
man, I would love to visit the UK at some point, man. And I haven't been to Europe since I was real young. My wife and I have never been able to go together as a couple. So it'd be awesome. If you ever are planning on heading over there, holler at me, man. Maybe I can scrape up something and take the trip with you.
No, no doubt, no doubt. And
Yeah.
so that being said,
Yep.
Mike Lovedge, I'm gonna call you by your right name, Mike
Yeah.
Lovedge.
Yeah. There you go.
8 Second Ride. Once again, my listeners out there, check out my review. It's up now on my channel, so check it out. And I went pretty in depth on my review, so please give it a listen. I really think it's worth the time. It's worth the effort. It's definitely a strong record, and I definitely do recommend it. And I made this clear on my review. I'm not saying this because I know Mike and because I consider him a pal. Because if I thought it sucked, I definitely would have said that it sucked, and I would have been brutal. But
Yeah, and you would be, and I know you.
that's right.
He's not kidding about that.
That's right. I'm from the old school. I'm from the school where you got to call a spade, and damn it, it's good.
Right.
So if it's good, damn it, it's good, and I make no bones about it. So I highly recommend checking out 8 Second Ride. if they're in your area, go see them. Show them some love. Buy their
Sure.
products. Let's help these guys get it to the next level because I really feel that they they have quality in their music, and I think they will entertain a wide section of the musical demographic, so to speak.
Amen.
So any last thoughts?
No, I just want to thank you again for having me on here. And I know that I don't know how long your show is and how much of this you're going to edit away, but because I really enjoy chatting with you not only here but in other ways that we do. And I wish you good luck with everything too, man. And I really appreciate that you took the time to listen to my music and to share it. And I wish all the best for you too, man. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. So once again, so what do you think out there, listeners? What do you think? Have you heard 8 Second Ride yet? Have you heard any of the songs from the record? Have you heard some of the other music? If you have, comment below and let us know. Chime in and tell us what you think. You can obviously you can find me on Twitter at whatlonzothinks. You can email me whatlonzothinks@gmail.com. I'm always out there. Make sure you subscribe, sign up for notifications. I'm trying to get my subscribers up, so I appreciate all the views. I appreciate all my fans out there. I appreciate the constant comments and everything. Folks reaching out to me, asking for content. I try to get it up as much as I can. So please keep supporting me, and I'll keep providing the products and the content, and hopefully we can all continue to prosper. So once again, tell me what you think. 8 Second Ride, because you just heard what Lonzo thinks. Bye.